Did Mandalorian Season 3 live up to the hype, or did it suffer from lack of marketing? Let's find out in the Mandalorian Season 3 review. Hey, what's up movie people? I hope you're doing well. This is going to be my review on the Mandalorian Season 3. No spoilers at all in this because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys if you haven't seen it, haven't had time to binge it all. But to preface, going into this season, I wasn't very excited, only because the marketing was actually very weak. And I saw on Twitter a lot of people were worried about this season because the marketing just didn't show much, and they didn't market it to fans as much as they marketed season 2 or even season 1. And the trailers didn't show much for me to get hyped for the release. So I was wondering, does Disney not feel like this season is as good as season 2? Because I was a huge fan of season 2. So I still went ahead and watched every episode when they dropped because I'm a big fan of the show. The main plot of this season is about Din, our main Mandalorian, and Grogu in our third season are faced to retake Mandalore by trying to reassemble all factions of Mandalorians while also trying to fight off the Empire and what they're trying to build. And this season also has a lot of Katan she was also in one of the animated shows. I forget what animated show, but she's actually in that show, and now she's big in this season. We saw her a little bit in the second season, but this season's kind of like almost her season more than Din's, which is interesting. And I feel like the plot was not what I wanted it to be. I know it was kind of about taking Mandalore, but I feel like that really took a step back after the first couple episodes. And there was a lot of different plot lines going on that I didn't feel like really wrapped up too well in those last episodes. But let me get to the good real quick. I really do think that the VFX look good this season with the few action scenes that there were in a couple of the episodes that we had. I feel like that VFX of all those ships flying around, everything blasting apart, all those VFX are just really amazing for a TV level budget in my opinion. And I feel like Din and Grogu still have a great friendship, and it's still very funny to see them interact with each other because I love how there's still bits, even in this season, of them just playing around with each other and Grogu doing some annoying stuff, but Din has to basically he has to deal with it because he's like his dad now. He just has to deal with him being a kid. And so it's awesome to see them interact still in that way. I feel like seeing more Bo-Katan become a main part of the story was awesome because she's a very interesting character, but she is also very fearless and really wants everyone in the Mandalorians to get along with each other because there's all these different factions in this season. She wants them all to get along with each other. And I feel like she has some very cool scenes this season. And my last good fact about this is seeing so Mandalorians on screen at one time was fantastic. Something I've been waiting for since the start of this series. And I remember from the trailer, you get to see so many different Mandalorians in different outfits. That's all I've been waiting for, is to see all of these different ones on the screen interact with each other, have all these different huge action scenes with each other. It's kind of fantastic when it does happen. I'm not going to say when it does, but it's fantastic when it happens, when it all comes together. I feel like when all the Mandalorians is on screen, it's when you have the best of the show, or it's just when it's just Din and Grogu. I think that's really the best thing. This isn't going to be a spoiler because we knew it was going to happen, but seeing our villain Moff Gideon return really did bump this season up for me because his return was just amazing. And I felt like he really does bring a lot to this show, and if you don't have him, it's really missed. A lot of that quality dips without him in this show, so I was happy to see him return because it just brought me back to loving the show. But getting into some of my issues, I feel like the writing of this season has been very lackluster and all over the place because you can see so many different episodes. It just feels like it's written by so many different people, and I get it. Not one person can write the whole season, but it just doesn't have to feel so out of place. And I feel like it's just so off some of the episodes that I'm just not prepared for it. And let me just say this. I'm going to say this with a lot of heart. I want Disney Plus to be more like HBO with their runtimes, because HBO has Succession and Barry, and they're all pretty long and have substantial plot lines in those one episodes. But Mandalorian and Disney Plus give you a 50-minute episode, and then they give you a 33-minute episode. It's like, stop giving me different episodes with different runtimes. Just keep going with 50-minute episodes for 8 episodes. I don't know how it's that hard to write a storyline that consists of 8 episodes that are all 50 minutes long. That's what we all want as fans, is like a movie level event for each episode. I don't know why Disney can't do that. Maybe it's a budget issue, but these different runtimes really do ruin it, because those shorter episodes are really the worst episodes out of the bunch and don't have a lot of plot to them, and their scripts are all the weakest. And that brings me to my point that there felt like a lot of filler this season, and I feel like we didn't need this entire episode with tons of cameos. I'm not going to get into who those cameos were, because this is like a no spoiler kind of review, but there's an episode kind of near the end, I think it's episode 6, that episode had so many cameos. It just felt so out of place and so silly. These I feel like 3 or 4 of the 8 episodes were just filler episodes that took up a whole episode where that plotline could have been resolved in maybe 15 to 20 minutes, because they just want to like just make these episodes just last as long as they can. This plotline for the season lasts 8 episodes, when I think this plotline could have lasted like 5 or 6, and this plotline could have been bigger if they just made their show like HBO shows with longer runtimes. And I think our villain should have entered the picture way earlier in this season. You could say that the overall villain of this entire show, this entire season, is the Mandalorians going against each other, not wanting to regroup and trying to retake Mandalore. But we do have our overall villain of the whole series, which is Moff Gideon, and I feel like we were really missing him, because he just wasn't in it for that long. I'm not going to tell you where he shows up, but he's not in it for that long. And I feel like that's just horrible writing, in my opinion. You're not going to have your villain for that many episodes, and you're going to have filler episodes. Like, please, don't do that to me, Disney. The final 2 episodes, I want to talk about those for a minute, and I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not talking about any specifics, but let me just say that these final 2 episodes really did save the season for me. He says if they weren't here, and if these 2 episodes weren't what they were, this season would have been really underwhelming compared to the first 2 seasons. The writing seemed so much better also during these episodes. I think that's because Dave Filoni was also there writing with other writers. But when Dave Filoni is not there writing, I feel like the show takes a step down a lot of ways, and substance really lacks without Dave Filoni. I feel like these last 2 episodes had great action, tense scenes, actual stakes. I really do feel like these episodes helped make this season better than what it could have. Like, if you're going into this season and you're not liking the first 4 episodes, I still say stick with it, because these last 2 episodes are just fantastic Star Wars, in my opinion, and some of the best Mandalorian episodes. It should remind you of the last kind of episodes of season 2, because those episodes were great, but I think all season 2's episodes were great. The last episodes of this season are truly amazing, in my opinion, so stick with it. It does get better. There are just some filler episodes that just don't make sense to really be there, which sucks. But I gotta say, overall, I think this season suffered from the weakest writing out of all the seasons, with some really bad filler episodes, especially episode 6 and episode 4, I think it was. And I feel like they didn't need to take up those whole episodes. Like I said, the plot they could have just brandished those episodes to be shorter, and those plot lines didn't need to take up whole episodes. But as I said, those final 2 episodes really do make up for a lackluster season, and brought me into what it was. Like, it brought me back to what the magic of The Mandalorian is supposed to be, and why I love it, why you're supposed to care for what the Mandalorians are, and why it's such a big staple franchise for Disney Plus. Those 2 episodes really do feature some of the best, like, Star Wars TV series, in my opinion. But as I said, even though you have those final 2 episodes, it doesn't make up for the whole lackluster season, in my opinion. So overall, I'm going to have to give this season of Mandalorian, season 3, a 3.5 out of 5. I'm very disappointed in a lot of the features that were in this show, But I do gotta say, I still love Star Wars and The Mandalorian characters and series as a whole. And I can't wait to see what the other shows this year have in the arsenal. Like Ahsoka, I think that season is going to be great, but I still have to catch up on Clone Wars and Rebels. But I think Ahsoka will be our last Star Wars show of the whole year. So I'm very excited for that show. But let me know what you guys thought of Season 3 of The Mandalorian down below in the comments, because there's been a lot of divide over this season. So I want to know what you guys thought. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.